Mercury, Hermes to me, messenger of God Almighty.
What need have we of a flitting, flickering breeze of a girlish boy to attend and deliver those messages, too rich and ephemeral for mortal ears to hear?
That's just it. The flit, flit, flit of one whose work will never be quit. For the tongues change as the days change, so too the tools and the spools of yarn to tie a bow around a fable. Let us be able, the mind must be watched. For what is Mercury if not mind? How do you think? What mechanics run your mental miasma? What mind-forged manacles hold our new century in shackles? Flit, flit. It is oh so quick. Mercurius, he or she, the androgyne, darts to and fro. It sets the nerves on edge. It is our very nervous system incarnate. The brave little one, dancing so close to our father's sun, never straying too far. Give, 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 take, 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 the lord of copper and all coinage, tithing and conniving, the neutrality tinged with hue of fiendy foes, or the mellow genius. Marvellous gift the mind is, to discern, interpret, calculate, litigate and placate. And then those glamorous fools who use it for music and perceiving the divine, who gift it back as sweetly as songbirds, who are piecing it all together through lyric and strong words, tricky trap of universal hilarity, mirroring, gleeful, the pitfalls of humanity, human errors, as we stumble and learn, taking turns to be humble and bumble through digital dilemmas of the soul, tracking this route towards whole, as the heart yearns, Mercury unfurling life as a fern, seeing patterns, pretty patterns, lighting lanterns as it flits through the details loosely harnessed, and on course this worthy servant wants no more nor less than to play, investigate, and convey. Come with me and serve yourself heartily.
Hello, welcome to the Ineffableelse, welcome back. Thank you for joining me if you are new. Welcome to a new planetary series, this time focusing on the planet Mercury. This is the closest planet to the Sun, and this is at home in both Gemini and Virgo. It's in its detriment, in its fall, supposedly, in Pisces, and its antithesis is Sagittarius. So these are all very interesting placements to explore, but of course I'll be exploring it as it goes through every single sign, house, and conjunction with another planet. It's very interesting for you to notice what's happening with Mercury, as it is the second fastest planetary celestial body after the moon. It moves very fast, and it moves in a strange way, strange direction, with it going retrograde 3 times per year. This means that it appears in the sky to be going back and forth because of where we are in relation to the Sun and where we are in relation with our own orbit and the orbit of Mercury. It does something very strange in an astronomical sense. Now, I'm really excited with this series because I am extremely mercurial. This is my planet. I have a Virgo ascendant, and so Mercury is my chart ruler, as well as a very, very tight conjunction between Pluto and Mercury in Scorpio. So I have a very fixed and penetrating way of thinking, because Mercury is all about thought, the way that we use our mind. This is to do with speech and communication, and also analysis, analytical thinking. So one is more inwardly, this is the Virgo quality, and one is more externally, more of the Gemini quality of sharing. This is more or less a neutral planet. It doesn't have a very, very strong masculine or feminine, slightly more masculine, analytical, but it's not very easily defined. It's very easily mutable and changeable depending on what it's in conjunction with and which sign it's in, and It's really a lens. It's a lens in a similar way that Jupiter is something that expands things. We think of Jupiter as the telescope that takes us out into farther realms. Mercury is like the microscope that wants to go in and go deeper and analyze things in detail. But it will be dependent on where it is and how it is relating to other things. In that sense, it's neither malefic or benefic. It's a lovely neutral thing to have, and it also means that it's very much up to you how you use it, how you utilize it, and how you use this tool, because it is a tool. And for that reason, it has a relationship with so many different facets, so many different things. I've got the list here of professions that it relates to and the areas of life, and this can be from education, writings, disputation, printers, secretaries, speech, the herald, numbers, commerce, youth, lawyers, theft, interpretation and translation, the ambassador, sending messages, suspense, testing, community, service, profit, critical thinking, judgment. And in this critical thinking, there's also diplomacy, and genius, and also being a trader, being very good with wealth. And you'll see this reflected. All these different sort of patterns will emerge depending on the archetype that they're playing with. It's essentially making something, anything in this world, able to be understood, able to be comprehended, able to be broken down and digested. This is also in relation to banking, sculptures, scholars, musicians, doctors, weavers, embroidery, marvelous roaming, unstable, undertaking marvelous work, a lot of work, and those who are methodical, those who do things logically, and the way that we structure our thinking, the way we structure our day-to-day life, and how organized we are, and how practical we can make ourselves. And it really rules wealth and the management and distribution of wealth on a smaller scale in spreadsheets, and being able to manage your affairs well. So there's a lot to go into. This is just an introductory video about the planet itself, which is so versatile. It is Hermes. It is the messenger of the god that flits across the sky. It's very close to the sun. The sun is the most huge thing that we have in our solar system, of course, and Mercury is the smallest. So it's sort of this messenger from the sun. So it relates a lot to what your sun is doing. So what is your sun sign, and how consistent or incongruous is it with your Mercury placement? Do these things work particularly well together? One thing to note is that Mercury never gets more than one sign in either direction away from your sun. So my sun is Sagittarius, my Mercury is Scorpio. If my sun's Sagittarius, it would never go more than Capricorn or Scorpio. So this is an interesting thing to note. There is a certain instability with it, the fact that it does change signs all the time and it moves around so much. It can be a wonderful way to engage with the mind and to allow yourself the possibility to move away from overthinking, from very detrimental patterns of thinking, which we all have, and to see things from others' perspectives. That's a very, very key feature within this, because it is mutable and it is so changeable. If you're a fixed person who's very rigid in your way of being, the Mercury transits can help you open up and expand your awareness in that way. So if your sun is your radiance and how you shine and what you have to offer as you yourself, as your essence, then Mercury is your communicator of that. It's how you bring that into form, whether that's any form of communication. If we really dive deep into communication, whether that's speech, writing, music, performance, feeling, tactile, communication with any of these different love languages, communication through external presentation and what you show in your fashion, and it can manifest in any way depending on where it is. it's more of a mechanism, more of a tool than it is an actual thing in and of itself. It's a lens that we use more than any other planet. It's about your communication style. It's how do you express yourself verbally, because that, whatever your communication style, you all need to communicate in a verbal sense. And is it more active? Is it more passive? Is it more direct? Is it more covert? Is there a tendency for manipulation and playing with words in a comedic sense? Puns. This is a very Twitter place. If you have, if it's aligning with Martian energy, this is much more fighting and flaring up energy, and if it's aligning with something more Venusian, then it's going to be more harmonious and peaceful and diplomatic. It can present as challenges in communication and how you can express yourself and how you may wish to express yourself, but you're not necessarily heard. It's about speaking and as well listening. How gullible are you? How able are you to take in information and see it critically? This is about your capacity for critical thinking. And sometimes if someone else has a stronger Mercury than yourself, your mind can be foggy, can be clouded. It can be difficult with something in a more Pisces sign to be much more analytical and direct and straightforward when it gets kind of blurred with this Neptunian expanse. And really, no combination is negative or positive. It's all about how you utilize it. And I intend to go into that with each of these videos to see which is the highest manifestation for each of these different combinations. And really pay attention to the video in terms of if you have a Mercury in Libra, fantastic, but then also have a look at which house it's in, and you can see from the title of the video which house it will be in. For example, if it's in the 10th house, you need to watch the video Mercury in Capricorn. It will have a similar flavor, and then you can kind of marry these things together and feel more into yourself and how this relates to how you think and how you express, how you communicate, and where there may be, as I say, incongruencies with these things. And likewise, if it's conjunct with another planet or in relation with another planet, look at a video where it's conjunct one of these places, because that will have an impact as well. And just using myself as an example, I have a very strong Mercury, because not only is my chart ruler that, because of having Virgo as my ascendant, but also Mercury is in the 3rd house, which is the traditional house of Gemini, which is another ruler of Mercury. And there I have Pluto in Scorpio conjunct with Mercury, so it gives a very, very clear emphasis on what kind of Mercury I have. Yours may not be so clear cut, so crystal clear. It may be much more diluted in relation to something else. As I say, it is a messenger, so it really is here to draw on whatever is there. It's so much like the messenger for the king. It honors the knowledge, the wisdom, whether that's heavy, huge universal concepts of life, or whether it's the small details of your latest bank statement. It will honor that. It will come and it will deliver it like with such reverence. It is reverential in that sense, and especially when it's well aspected and well utilized and hasn't been shamed. It can of course go in the opposite direction of being this kind of gossip, town crier, saying things, newspapers, saying like a rag type newspaper, a tabloid, spreading gossip, spreading lies, spreading juiciness, and of course the devil's advocate comes in here and saying the confrontational thing, because it is very masculine in that sense. It's less connected with the emotions, it's less empathic in a feeling sense. It's very empathic in understanding everything, every perspective. It's seen a lot, hasn't necessarily felt a lot. So it's so important with this to bring it into the heart and see how it relates to your Venus and how it relates to the warring factions, and can you bring in more critical thinking before the warring takes place. It's a case of juggling with these balls, these planetary balls, and in which one you should be the ruling, taking the the upper hand in any given situation. Because with this comes great responsibility. It may seem small and tiny, but it has that ability to flit around and understand things, and that is a great gift that the other planets don't have. It's a great gift to hold that torch, to be that torch bearer, and to pass it along, and to share knowledge, and fact check, truly fact check for yourself. It's very much about discernment, and not, I mean, a lot of social media comes back to Mercury, and this is the distorted form of mercurial tendency when we go too much into oversharing nonsense, instead of really the other thing. The tarot card in relation to Virgo is the Hermit. So really being able to go in and sit down and think things through clearly, critically, analytically, and also taking away the emotion can be really beneficial in that way, especially in terms of family affairs, in terms of this is a wonderful place for a lawyer who really wants to just cards on the table, let's reach the highest, best conclusion for everyone here. It's a very neutral party in all of this, and that can be a wonderful quality. And I feel like with social media, it can be elevated to a higher place, and it is in many cases, in terms of what we share and how we're teaching one another and learning from one another, but always with a pinch of salt. It's a salty place, really. And the other wonderful thing is the ability to explore paradoxes and things which don't make sense, and to make sense of them. It's the breaking down of things into its components parts, and seeing how we got there. And I think that the highest way to, I mean, the antithesis is Sagittarius and Jupiterian qualities that want just give me the truth, give me the big picture understanding. I want to understand everything as one. I want a one size fits all sort of solution. And Mercury is all about fault finding and bringing it down, and for me, that being its antithesis is actually its biggest gift, because then you have the analytical fault finding with the uber optimistic. And I think the combination of that can be a wonderful thing. I wouldn't think that would be a very negative a signature to have. I think it's glorious, and it can be a very harmonious thing. And well, ultimately, a Sagittarius is happy with a paradox anyway. It's not looking for a one big solution. It's looking for the acceptance of the totality. And the mercurial quality is able to at least make sure that we have all of the elements, all of the facts to be able to reach that solid conclusion, which Sagittarius has already got in its heart. So I will be going deeper into each of these. I don't want to get too sidetracked by any one particular sign, because it's the mercurial tendency to wish to get this message across, and there is this altruism with it, and a lack of self, and a smallness and a flittiness, which again is something strange about the Mercury retrogrades, where we allow it to become this big nasty beast that comes to ruin our communication and ruin our lives. Well, I think again it's just a different way of communicating. It's like a transformation between something much more external to something more internal, and just allowing for that change and that lack of consistency. And that, because what the ultimate thing with Mercury is, it's consistent in its irregularity, it's consistent in its changing nature, which is as the universe is. So feel, how is your Mercury? First of all, is it more Virgo, more Gemini? Is it something inclusive of both, which is then tinged with another sign? Both Virgo and Gemini are mutable after all, so they are very much influenced by whatever it is connecting to. It's so much a servant in its energy, and really that's because it is the mind, and that is the truth of the matter when it comes to the mind, is that it's a wonderful servant and a terrible master. So what is it serving? What is the purpose? What is the cause? I will leave you with this for now. I hope that has got your mercurial tendencies tingling. And I will see you in the next one. I'll be, of course, starting with Aries, Mars, the first house. So thank you very much. Please contact me if you would like to have a reading. Take care.